Okay guys, so last lesson we were talking about fake news, weren't we? And you know, what might motivate people to sort of put out fake news. So today we're going to go on to talk about emotions. So we're going to have a think about your emotions, how you respond to them, and we're going to learn techniques to deal with your emotions more skillfully. So just to give you a bit of background to that, you know, if you ever get into a situation where you feel your emotions are running you, does that sound familiar? You can identify perhaps a time when that's happened to you. Hopefully by the end of today's session, what we'll do is we'll have some techniques, some strategies that you can use to make yourself more aware. This puts you a bit more back at choice about how you respond to situations. So in terms of how we'll judge, you know, whether we've had a successful lesson today, is you'll know you're successful when you can describe your emotions. You can actually, you know, put a word to them. You're aware of how it is that you're feeling. You can explain how your thoughts and your emotions are linked. And also you can assess whether you're responding to your own emotions more skillfully. Okay? So that's our task for today. So I'm going to just put a line down the board, and what I want you to do is on the left-hand side, I want you to put how your mind feels, and on the right-hand side, I want you to put how your body feels, okay? So pink is mind and green is body, so just have a think about where you feel certain emotions. I'll put them down here so we can see. Okay, thank you everybody. So let's take a look then and see what you've put. So in terms of how your mind feels today, we've got my mind feels happy and calm. Fantastic. A bit tired. Yeah, it's coming towards the end of term, isn't it? A long old year. Anxious. Somebody feeling anxious. Tired, nervous, a bit sleepy. Happy and sad. Okay, that's really interesting, isn't it? It's not always one fixed emotion, is it? It's quite often on a continuum. So moving to how your body feels then, some of the same words. We've got a few tireds, we've got lots of hots, which it is a very, very warm day today, so I'm not at all surprised to see that there. Nervous, happy, good. So we've got a few similarities there, haven't we? But also within that, you can see that we're all, two things there really, we're all feeling like a real mix, aren't we? It's not necessarily just one thing, it can be a few things at the same time. And the other thing is, you've got a bit of similarity between how you're explaining how your mind and your body feels, and that's really interesting. So, next up is emotions, and I'm sure you're all sort of pretty familiar with these, and you've mentioned some of these already in your answers. But in terms of the most common, if you like, the most basic types, then obviously there's happiness, there's sadness, there's fear, disgust, anger, and surprise. 6 sort of core, if you like, core emotions. So, obviously emotions play a huge role in how we live our lives. You know, they influence how we engage with others. I'm sure you can identify times when perhaps how you behave towards other people is perhaps different depending on what kind of mood you were in. And if we can gain a better understanding of our emotions, it can help us make choices about how we respond to other people, how we deal with everything. So, what I'd like you to do is, given that we know, you know, what the main emotions are, just spend a minute or two, it's going to be a really quick exercise, thinking about the feelings that you would attach to some of the life events that you can see on the board, okay? So it's attending a wedding, attending a funeral, having an argument with somebody, joining a new school perhaps, or going on your first date.
So you meet new people, but you're also sad and emotional because you've lost someone that you love so much.
I doubt you'd be happy at school because it's your first time there.
Yeah, you need to get settled in.
Yeah, so maybe after like the first week then you start enjoying it.
Wedding. You'd probably feel pretty happy.
Yeah, like for them.
Yeah. for them. Or if it's your wedding, still happy.
Yeah.
For a funeral, probably
Sad.
Yeah, sad.
Yeah.
Like,
Who wants to tell us how they think they would be feeling if they were attending a wedding?
I'd feel happy and accomplished.
I think I'd be a bit sad going on a wedding because, well, if I attended a wedding, because they'd be moving on from life and we might not see them as much as we used to.
So even with a happy event like that, there's still some other emotions bubbling away a bit. What about if you were attending a funeral?
Sad, angry and disgusted.
Okay.
I'll feel disgusted because of how they died, like if they got
Yes.
murdered or something. I'll feel angry because they left without my permission.
Yeah, yeah.
And I feel sad because, well, they're dead. So
Yeah, it's a loss, isn't it?
Yeah.
What about if you were having an argument?
I would be like in the middle because it could be like a friend that you're not so close to, and argument's been brewing for a long time. So you just want to get it out your mind, but then they could say the wrong things to you, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Because like you don't want to have an argument, but then you don't want to be friends forever because you're not the best of friends anyway. You're like not even close.
Yeah.
You just don't want to be friends anymore.
So it's quite complex, isn't it? You've got to make your decisions and then
Yeah.
that influences how you behave. Yeah, that's really perceptive. Okay, and what about if you were joining a new school?
I guess happy, but you wouldn't really be that happy on the first day. You'd be kind of fearful of, I guess, the unknown.
Yeah.
And within like a week on, then you'd probably be happy, have friends, and settle in. But the first day, I think, would just be like really nervous, anxious.
Yeah. Okay, and last but not least, what about a first date? What sort of emotions might be going on here?
you'd be proper happy because you're going to get a girlfriend or a boyfriend and you're going to be very happy.
You'd be a bit nervous.
Yeah.
Because you're literally dating someone that I know you've met.
Yeah.
You met like, I don't know, 3 days ago.
Yeah.
And now you're thinking about marrying her, which is like...
Yeah. So there's lots of complex. I think that's what we're getting to, isn't it? Is that the emotions aren't very straightforward. They're very complex things. You know, they're strong, aren't they?
Yeah.
Sometimes it feels like they're taking over our minds and our bodies. So these 3 tables here. Okay, I want you to think about a time when you felt really upset or angry about something. All right, I want to know a bit about what the situation was, obviously not giving away any names or personal details, but what the situation was, what you did and kind of how you responded. Okay, and then you guys over this side, same exercise but different emotion. I want you to think about a time that you felt happy and excited.
When have you ever felt angry or upset?
Primary school.
Primary school.
One time in this room right now, and I was heartbroken.
I was not heartbroken.
I can't be angry about being sad because like
It's different though. There's some people are more sensitive than others.
Okay, so I'm going to pick on a couple of people on this side. So tell us what emotion you were feeling and what the situation was.
So basically, I was very happy because one of the games I was playing recently, it's been out for 5 years now. So I logged on during the 5th year anniversary and I got a very big reward and I was so happy.
Fantastic. So let's flip it to the other side of the class.
My dog died about 5 years ago.
It's really heartbreaking, isn't it? Because pets are part of our family. Okay, so if you don't mind, we'll use that situation as an example and we're all going to have a little think about that. We're going to all put ourselves in that position. We started to talk about earlier about the mind and the body connection. So, you know, you've got your thoughts. That's then going to affect what your actions are, aren't they? So, for instance, if you're feeling really angry, what could happen more often as a result?
Like distraction.
Yeah. You get destructive in your behaviour, don't you? You could perhaps be a bit more aggressive or argumentative or negative towards people. Yeah. And then also your emotions. So, you know, putting ourselves in your shoes where, you know, you've lost a dog, obviously that's, you know, that's tragic. That's really sad, isn't it? Because they're part of our family. What sort of thoughts were you having at that time? Sorry to make you think back to a sad time, but I think it's quite useful and other people can chip in.
Well, I felt mostly upset because, like, I'd known her for about 4 years. And, like, you know what that feeling, yeah, where you feel, like, lightheaded? I felt like that.
Yeah. So you've linked it in already to body sensations. You were noticing different things going on in your body because of the thoughts and feelings that you were having. Okay, yeah, Abby?
I've been in like a situation like that when I lost my dog Bonnie. I'd known her for about 11 years.
Yeah.
And because she had to be put to sleep because she had, I can't remember what it was now, but they couldn't fix her.
Yeah.
So either they would try and fix her and she would end up dying, or they would just put her to sleep. They decided to just put her to sleep because there's no trauma.
Yeah.
But me and my mum were devastated. We were crying our eyes out on the sofa. I had my cat Shadow then, and she noticed something was going on, so she jumped up and gave us cuddles, and I felt like she knew what was going on, and she wanted to be there for me and my mum, because me and my mum were crying our eyes out for like 2 hours.
Yeah, that's really perceptive, really, really perceptive. And I think, you know, pets, and also I think children and young people are very wise. I think you're born actually very wise and very intuitive and very creative. Yeah, you are. We all just have to learn a few other lessons along the way and keep learning. You know, I'm still learning today. I just want to talk to you about mindfulness. So has anyone heard about mindfulness?
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to offer me a definition? What do you think it might involve?
Meditation and kind of like mindfulness, and like focusing on what like you're aware of and stuff.
Instead of like looking around at different stuff, look at one like dot, make a spot just to keep looking at. And see what birds go there, or even if you have to close your eyes and look at that spot, just so you're not looking around everywhere and distracting your mind.
Yeah. Mindfulness is about actually keeping that focus to the here and the now. All right, and one of the ways, there are lots of ways to do it. You can do it, we've talked about walking in nature, haven't we? You know, exercise is another one, even down to, you know, something called mindful walking, would be where, you know, for instance, as simple as you take your shoes off and you actually, you know, spend ages. If you can see what I'm doing, you almost, you know, you place your heel down first and you actually, you know, spend quite a long time then just almost rolling the rest of your foot down. And you are doing it in like, you know, really, really slow motion before you then sort of moving through, you know, and coming up on your toes. You know, one of the ways to kind of get out of the chatter in your mind and all the different things that are going on is to take your focus and your awareness into your body. So, are you willing to give this a go?
Yeah.
Do we trust each other here?
No.
What's going on?
We're going to do just like a little mindfulness exercise, okay? So it's just relaxing.
Oh, okay.
It's just like a relaxation exercise. I'm going to ring a bell and that will signal the start of our meditation. And then in about 5 minutes' time, you'll hear the bell ring again and that will signal the end. So the first thing I want you to do is to sit up straight. So get your arms off the desk. I want you to plant your feet on the floor, about shoulder width apart. Okay, so we'll just do that to start with. Okay, so we're going to do a very short body scan. So firstly, I'd just like you to close your eyes. Don't need to look around, see what anyone else is doing. And then just make sure that your feet are planted firmly on the floor. Make sure you can feel where your bottom is on the seat. Now I just want you to take 3 deeper breaths than usual. In through your mouth, out through your nose. then I want you to take your awareness right down into the soles of your feet and just be conscious of the sensation in your feet where they're in contact with the floor. And I just want you to notice how that feels. What sensations are you aware of in your feet? And then what we're going to do as well is on the out breaths, you're just going to sink your feet deeper into the floor. Just let the floor support you and just notice how that feels. And then we're going to move our awareness up through our calves and our shins into our knees. And if we can feel any tension there, we're just going to direct the breath there, and on the out breath, we're going to let go of any tension. And then moving your attention up further into your bottoms where they're in contact with the seat. And if you notice that you are holding any tension, just breathe into the area, direct your breath there and just relax the muscles there with every out breath a little bit more. And then we're going to bring our awareness to our bellies and just noticing the movement. And then we're going to take our awareness into our shoulders and our necks. And again, just noticing what sensations you're aware of in this present moment. Then we bring our awareness up into our heads. Just let your tongue rest lightly on the bottom of your mouth. Mouth open or closed, however feels comfortable for you. I'm going to ring the bell. When I ring the bell, just slowly bring your awareness back into the room. And when you're ready, take a couple of deep breaths and open your eyes. Okay, so how was that? Difficult? Easy?
Kind of easy. I did it with my eyes open. I open my eyes sometimes. I just did it anyways.
I probably do that before bed and it get me asleep.
Yeah.
When we opened our eyes and you rang the bell, it felt like my whole body got like so much heavier and it was proper weird.
Yeah. So nice. That sounds like you had a nice relax.
Very weird, because when you were saying the awareness is in my feet, right? My feet, and there's like,
Well, they felt tingly.
yeah, and I can keep it still. It's very weird, very weird and vivid.
Yeah. And what was happening to the thoughts and the stuff in your head whilst that was going on in your feet?
I was like, how is this happening? What the-
How is it happening?
So temporarily, perhaps all the other noise that goes on in our heads had maybe, laid off a little bit whilst you were focusing on your feet.
Yeah.
Quite often, when we need things the most is actually when we're feeling great and we sort of get busy, and actually, sometimes that's when we need to up the self-care. So it's just something else, isn't it? Another thing that you can use to help you. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk to you about, has anyone heard of this before, the iceberg theory? No? Okay, well, in a nutshell, it's basically that you only ever see certain behaviours, don't you? Yeah, so how other people are showing up, how they're behaving, how they're treating you. But the thing is, we don't know what's really going on, do we? No. I don't know what else is going on for you. You don't know what else is going on for me. We just know how we're generally feeling and how we're behaving towards each other because we're in the same space. So, but looking at the board, we've got some famous people over there, some of whom you'll recognise. And I just want you to tell me what you think they might all have in common. Yes, Jazz?
They're all famous.
They are all famous, they're all celebrities, correct? Yes, Libby?
They've all got their own personal lives.
All right. Well, I'll tell you. They've all suffered with emotional or mental health issues. Now, we wouldn't overtly know that about them, would we? To us, on the outside, what would you think their life was like?
Happy, excited and
The best life you
perfect.
could ever wish for.
The best life you could ever wish for?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do we know? We don't, do we? So here are the conditions. So this is a list of, it's not all of them, but it's some of the emotional and mental health issues. So depression, anxiety disorder, panic attacks, bulimia, Post-traumatic stress disorder. Do we know what that means?
Past trauma.
So past trauma, so things sort of literally coming back and taking over your mind. Perfect. And obsessive compulsive disorder. Would anybody be able to tell me who they think has suffered with what? Have you heard this about any of them, perhaps?
I think that Nadia has anxiety disorder.
Okay.
Or has had panic attacks, either one.
Yeah.
Justin Bieber had depression.
Justin Bieber had depression. Okay, so on the screen now you'll see the answers. Some you may have guessed, some you may not. But I think the thing to take away from this really is that, you know, like Hayden said to us, you'd think, wouldn't you, that these people had, like, you know, the best possible life on the planet. And if we think back to the iceberg theory that we talked about, it's just always bearing in mind that things aren't always as they seem. That, you know, sometimes our emotions are very strong. And do you know what? It's not wrong to have negative emotions like anger. It's perfectly natural. Hey, if somebody swiped all my chocolate and my sweets, I wouldn't be best impressed either. You know, so it's natural. We're not saying that, you know, negative emotions are bad and you shouldn't feel them. It's just understanding the impact they have on you. You know, being more aware is the first step. Be more aware of how you're feeling. And then also take that awareness to kind of how it means you behave. Could you all stand up for a moment? We're going to have a continuum. I want you to go at that end if you really strongly agree with the statement, and I want you to stand on this side if you totally disagree. Okay, so I'm going to read you some statements and I want to see where you line up. Diet, exercise and regular sleep patterns are all effective ways to support mental health and well-being. Here. Okay, all right.
You get higher self-esteem and it can boost your confidence.
Doing exercise increases, I think it's dopamine, which essentially makes your brain release chemicals which make you happy.
Yeah.
Some people with depression can't do those things, like.
Absolutely.
So how are they supposed to do that to get better? Like, if they need help, then they need help. They can't just get up and go.
Your body can only do what your brain tells you to do. So like, if like you're telling yourself, you know, eating healthy and like doing all these exercises, that's going to help you.
Okay.
Like it's going to help your mental health, then it will. But if you're doing it and you're saying, "Oh, I doubt it's going to work," it probably won't, because it's just how it works.
Fantastic. Okay, so let's move on to the next one, which is anyone can experience a mental health problem. So strongly agree over there, strongly disagree over here. What made you stand right over there for strongly agree?
Because it doesn't matter what like you're going through, anyone can like experience it.
Yeah.
I'm going to use like Ariana Grande as like an example. Like, she seems very happy, she has lots of money and everything.
Yeah.
But she is really like depressed inside, you can tell.
Yeah.
Like, especially after her, when someone that was really close to her passed away, she was been really upset. Like, anyone can feel upset, anyone can feel depressed or anything like that.
Definitely. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so the next one. Young people self-harming are attention-seeking. Yeah, okay. I have to say I'm glad to see a lot of movement for this one.
I'm kind of in the middle, because if they are just like a little kid, then they might be doing it for attention. But if they're older and they know not to do it, then there might be a chance that they might not be doing it for attention. It might just be like suffer from something that you don't know.
I don't think it's attention seeking at all, because if you are doing it for attention, then you need help, and I guess it is a form of like self-harming, because you're harming your mental health, but just not your body by attention seeking that low.
Self-harm isn't attention seeking. It's someone having problems and issues and not knowing how to deal with it. And the fact is, like, self-harm is the result of people not knowing who to go to and people not helping people with certain emotions and problems. So, like, if that obviously, like, if people think that is attention seeking, then it's like, well, everyone has a reason, and you know, it's a cry for help.
Brilliant. Okay, so the next one then is that everyone has the power to support a friend having difficulty with their mental health. Strongly agree, strongly disagree.
Just because you're their friend doesn't mean you're not going through stuff yourself. So, like, whatever you're going through might affect you and you don't have the power to help them.
Absolutely right. You might have the will, you might notice, you might care and want to, but actually you might not have the resources within yourself at that time.
You can definitely want to help, and to a certain extent you can help.
Yeah.
But once you reach that, you can't. There's nothing more you can do. So like that's why I'm not in disagree.
Helping isn't, you know, doing all these crazy things for them to make them feel better. Helping is just, you know, it's just like sending them a text in the morning being like, hope you're okay, can't wait to see you in school. Because that can make someone's day, that can make someone's day so much better. So you may not realise it, but just doing small things can help someone massively.
Absolutely right. It doesn't have to be something really, really big, does it? Okay, so you've already identified through talking to you about responding more skillfully to emotions. You've already suggested, while you've been talking to me during the lesson, you know, lots of different strategies that you can use. So just have a look at the list on the board and see if there's, you know, there's anything else there that you perhaps haven't tried that you might be able to try in the future. So we've got things like removing yourself from a stressful situation. So if you know that something's going to trigger you, so anxiety could be one of them. There could be a particular time of day, there could be a particular person, there could be a particular place that you know are more likely to trigger your anxiety. And it's just learning, isn't it? Having that understanding is half the battle, isn't it? And then you can sort of put your strategies in place, okay? Another one is taking a walk by yourself and actually, instead of just going off for a walk, actually doing something different while you're walking. Things like, you know, really listen. So, you know, what bird song can I hear? You know, mindfulness is something we're going to talk about in a second. Something that my grandma, I now know to be a very, very wise lady, one of her things was something as simple as in her head counting backwards from 20 to 0. You know, if she ever felt like she was going to make an angry response, that's one of the things she would do. You know, stretching. We've talked about the benefits of exercise. You could do yoga, you could walk, you could do more high impact. You know, if that's what works for you to get your endorphins rolling around your body, then that's all good, isn't it? Imagine somewhere nice and relaxing and picture yourself being there. Now, this is one that I love doing at the end of a day. And another one is just sitting or lying down somewhere, making yourself comfortable. And perhaps listening to some music. You know, we've all got different music tastes, haven't we? And that's fab. Like somebody said earlier, you know, if we all like the same thing, how boring would life be? Yeah, well, and it doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't matter what that music is. It could be a podcast, it could be an audio book, okay? It's just it's knowing yourself well enough to know what works for you. Again, no wrong or right, just whatever works for you. So, I just want to do one other one with you, and this is called a 1-minute breathing space. So the body scan is a lovely one if you want to, like, you know, physically really kind of decompress and relax. So I think, you know, like at bedtime, you know, things like that is fantastic. But we haven't always all got that time, have we? But the next one I'm going to share with you is literally something that you can do when you sort of like pop into the toilet in lunch break or something like that. It's just like a 1-minute breathing space. So we're going to do the same. So just get yourselves comfortable. Okay. So I just invite you to sit comfortably on your chairs and just let your eyes gently close. So I want you to just take your focus to your nostrils where you first become aware of the air entering your body. And I want you to imagine the flow, the journey that air that you're inhaling through your nostrils, where is that going? Just track that air as it moves through your body. So up your nostrils, filling your chest, if you're breathing nice and deep, maybe through to your belly, and then on the out breath, feel it leaving again. And just think of some words to describe, you know, what is that sensation around your nostrils as the air comes in? Does it feel fast or slow? Does it feel cool or warm? And when you're ready, just take a couple of deep breaths, open your eyes and just have a little shift around, get comfortable on your seats. Okay, so how easy is that?
Easy, very easy.
Brilliant, I'm glad. You all look very relaxed, I've got to say. You look really serene. How was it for you? How do you feel?
More relaxed than earlier, because earlier I was like quite like anxious, I guess. Yeah. But it just made me tired.
You know, different solutions are going to work for different people, aren't they, in different situations. The other thing you've talked about is who can help. And I really like the fact that, you know how to look to yourselves, which I think is important. But do you know what I've learned as I've got older is actually it's a sign of strength, not weakness, being able to ask for help. I used to try and do everything myself, solve everything myself, please everybody, run myself ragged. And it's not a good look, because you're more likely to get exhausted, and then in that state you're more likely to not respond very well to things. That's what I would say to you, is actually reaching out for help is a sign of strength, not weakness. So on the board you'll see just a list. I know, many of you have talked about this, you've talked about the various trusted adults in your lives. Okay, and it's also looking outside of, maybe your networks of friends and family and teachers and other trusted adults. If you're really struggling, then there's so much available now on the website. You can find out about charities and other third sector organisations, and don't be afraid to ask. And if you think you can not identify the problem, don't let that stop you asking for help. I just want you to have a little go at this. I want you to choose a line on here, okay? Think of it as completing a row, and I'd like you to follow one of these through. Okay, so you've got your pen and paper, so just jot that down for me for a second.
Take it.
Hands up who feels they've now got a better understanding of emotions, what they are. Okay, yeah? And then hands up who feels they've now got a better understanding of how to respond positively to their emotions. A bit more 50-50 on that one? Yeah. For homework, I would like you to draw a mind map of people in your support network. And the other thing I'd like you to do is that breathing space, that last only 1 minute meditation that you did, I want you to just practice that a couple of times, okay? And then next time I see you, you can tell me how it went. Does that sound okay?